This was like getting a crush at the end of your like middle, like your junior high year, right? And you're getting so pumped up all summer long. You're getting smarter. You're reading all their favorite books. You're working out. You got a new wardrobe, and then you go to class, and they moved to a different school and didn't tell you. And you're just like, what I do this for?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Decoding Dragons, CouchSoup's Watching Now podcast, where we break down all things House the Dragon. We're your hosts, Liza and Michelle, spilling the royal tea and breaking down the fire for every episode.
Yeah, so I've read A Song of Ice and Fire series and binged the show multiple times. Liza has seen the show and read Fire and Blood, so when it comes to thrones and dragon lore, we got you covered. And we have a guest for our finale party.
Yes, Kaylin is back. And if you missed her for episode 4, I think, she just launched her art and pop culture platform, The Abstract Voyager, where she showcases her absolutely stunning abstract art and her love of nerd culture. So please definitely feel free to introduce yourself and let us know where we can find you.
Every time you introduce me, I tell you do a great job. There is nothing left for me to say. I'm always grateful to be here with you lovely ladies, and I'm ready to break down this episode. So let's get into it.
Let's get into what happened in season 2, episode 8, called The Queen Who Ever Was.
Just the title already gets me started, but our obligatory spoiler warning first. So as you all know, we break down Fire and Blood, which is the canon that House the Dragon is based off of, loosely at this point, so you may not get really spoiled. But obligatory spoiler warning, we talk about the canon, we save the big spoilers for the Dragon Dreams section, but you are likely to hear stuff throughout, so come back after you've caught up on the season if you haven't, or stay here, get all the tea. We're a mess, so you will have fun. Today's episode, because it's our finale party, is actually not going to be as structured as our usual, and you'll probably see all the same cards, but today our blood section is just going to be reminiscing on the season, talking about stuff that we enjoyed or didn't enjoy, and just kind of revisiting character arcs, etc. We're just discussing the whole thing in the blood section instead of asking questions. All right, let's get into it.
Listen, what kind of fucking finale was that?
I think it was the finally it's over type of finale.
This was it wasn't a finale. I would officially, and I am saying this, as you can see, I thank God I have so many collectibles I can prove my point.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Game of Thrones. This was the worst finale of any TV show I have ever seen in my entire life. And I'm including every TV show I have seen. I cannot think of a worse finale. And
yeah,
I'm not saying it as a hater. As you know, like, I love this franchise, but it was just, it left so much to be desired, and not in the slow burny way, in the nothing is happening kind of way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think I have seen a finale that left me feeling like, that's it.
I held in there for so long because I thought we were going to get the gullet. I was just sitting there like tapping my foot like, where is the gullet?
So much talking. And I don't mean talking in the ideology that we're building up to something with a resolution. It was just talking and talking.
Repeating
and talking. And I think that, in my opinion, this is what it looks like when you don't trust your audience. When you don't trust the intelligence of your audience and the support of the readers. This is what it looks like when you're basically holding everybody's hands and low-key money laundering.
Yeah, we were talking about that, I think, the episode before last.
Yeah. And honestly, I can say after watching the entire season, you probably only needed 3 out of the 8 episodes.
If that.
Right. If that. And I'm being generous. I am being generous with the number 3.
And
this season was not strong enough to leave on anticipation. It just wasn't. You needed an actual cliffhanger, and that wasn't it.
No,
that was not it.
No, it was so agreed.
I have so many things to say. I'm so aggravated because, like, what happened? Like, they literally almost admitted that the entire season is filler.
You right.
Pretty much.
So I saw somewhere that Martin had said that they would need 4 seasons to do the story justice,
and 10 episodes.
And 10 episodes each. And I can only assume that he might have been considering the fact that they might include like the aftermath after the Hour of the Wolf. There is a lot of political upheaval that happens after the power structure gets so demolished, I suppose. Like the dragons are, it's the dance of the dragons. So there's a lot of political upheaval that happens that he might have been including. And there's also people we haven't been spending time with. Like there's Bloody Ben, there's Alysanne Blackwood. I can't remember if we saw Sabbath the Frey or not. I'm not sure if that was the Frey on the bridge, but we could have been in Old Town meeting Darren, and I think Otto's brother's name is Ormond. Like there's places we could have been had we not been locked into 2 houses. I was just chatting with Kaylin about how in Game of Thrones you got houses POVs, like we got the Lannisters and the Starks, but we also got people like Littlefinger, Varys, the Hound. Like people were moving.
My girl Sansa,
like there's so many points of view characters that you got to see the world and what was happening, and that does spread out your story. But locking yourself in these POVs is a struggle.
That's what I was thinking about in the episode last night when I was watching it, because you and I have discussed that before on the Decoding Dragons, of like you're locked in, you're too zoomed in. And what I was thinking about was my husband and I were talking about in Game of Thrones, you do get all of the side stories, like exactly like what you're just saying. You get all the side stories, and when you get zoom in, like close-ups of Daenerys Targaryen, it's special because you're following her around, but you're also following her story and her side quests.
Yes,
and Jorah, and you're learning more about the side people, and that's what builds the tension, because something's going on, but Daenerys doesn't know something that's going on. We follow Jon Snow to Castle Black, but we also learn about Benjen, Uncle Benjen, and Ned Stark's story at the same time. Jon Snow's going to the Wall. So like you're bouncing around the map and you're bouncing around these stories. And so everything you're saying is exactly, I'm just reiterating essentially. But no, like you're zoomed into Alicent in King's Landing, and you're zoomed into Rhaenyra at Dragonstone, and that's all you get.
Yeah.
Whereas we could have had more of an impact of Aemon burning down Sharp Point, right? Because it is House Massey who sits on Rhaenyra's Black Council. But you don't know that unless you dive into the lore.
It's also, I think I looked it up because I was like, I don't think Aemon burns Sharp Point in Fire and Blood. And I don't think he does. I double checked. But I think it also sits right there on the gullet. Like it's a coastal.
It is, yeah.
It's a coastal house. And you're right, he's on the council, but they don't connect those dots for you. Like you don't see him outraged that she let Aemon do it,
It would have been so much more impactful if we had that backstory of knowing where each of her members came from, so we could understand that the slap that happened in the middle of the season would have been more impactful, or he just lost his hometown because Aemon had a hissy fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But normally I try to default to, because I guess to explain my credentials to the viewers out there, I have never read anything Game of Thrones ever. Liza loaned me the book, and so I'm planning on reading it afterwards to kind of catch up and see what all was added from the show and what was taken away from the book and so forth. So I'm watching this as someone who just thoroughly enjoys fandoms and loves nerd culture, and also just enjoys watching really good TV. And something that was disappointing in this season was the inability to have resolution, even in buildup. Because I went on X and other social media platforms, and a lot of people were upset that there wasn't really a lot going on. And of course, there were the few people who were like, well, you all weren't complaining when there was buildup in Game of Thrones. I'm like, you're right, because there was usually always something left. There was something more. It was pulling you away, but it was pulling you into more tension. It was pulling you into more of the world and the people, which I feel like we've both, or all three of us, have kind of said at this point. But that's why Game of Thrones was it was messy, but it was messy. It was drama. And you had to pick sides. You were asking yourself what your morals were like and everything. But in House of the Dragon, it's pretty straightforward. The family is fighting family. Somebody had miscommunication, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit, because I got some statements about this music. I got statements about this miscommunication trope. But it's not a lot to be desired in the end.
I agree. And also one thing that I just thought of while you were talking is that so in the Dance to Dragons, obviously there's the looming threat now of the White Walkers and the Long Night.
Yeah.
But in Game of Thrones, that threat was always there, but you had smaller villains, like you had smaller antagonists, smaller villains.
Pushing the story.
Yeah, and smaller accomplishments you had to make. In this one, the Dance of the Dragons is the story. You have a looming threat, but that's 200 years, 300 years off, 200 years off, right? But there aren't extra stepstones. Like this is the story, and when they haven't made anyone a villain. Like everyone is so neutral that there's nothing to root for. You're just watching it happen without caring about what's
That's a really good way to say that. That's a really good point. As you're talking, I'm thinking of the other villains that we know of in Game of Thrones. And if you think about it, no, we don't have a villain in this season.
Yeah.
No.
Because the camera is making you undecided.
Yeah.
It's indecisive because to me it seems the show didn't know what it was doing.
The show doesn't have a side either, yeah. Which is fine, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, backtracking a little bit, I want to address the idea that the symbolism and the themes are not lost on us. We understand the parallels that are being made. We understand the foreshadowing that's being told. We understand what they're trying to do. And I am not saying that they did not execute it correctly, but a phrase that I've been saying repeatedly over the last couple of days is two things can be true at the same time. Your themes can be well executed, but they can also be bad. They can be bad. I can see what you were attempting to make between the very, very last shot, right? The very, very last shot between Rhaenyra and Alicent after we finally got off of Alicent's face, and you got to see them standing, right? Rhaenyra has now we see her making movements. In the beginning, she was free and wild and didn't want responsibility. And now no matter what she chooses, she has to stand in the castle. And Alicent, who was strong and dutiful, who like Rhaenyra said when she read her and was like, look, you only had your virtue. Now that's gone. What do you have? She's like, I just want me. We get it. But it didn't take it didn't take 8
It took
episodes.
8 episodes to get there?
8 episodes to get here when there were so many other things and so many other people. Corlys has yet give my man his mourning for his woman. Give him the mourning for his woman. Rhaena out here just running wild and free for Sheep Stealer. And my girl literally drinking stream water, sleeping in the cold. Like, at least let the dragon say, sup.
Like, we should have at least gotten something with Rhaena.
Why couldn't we get like a hand, a palm?
Like a boop, reach or something,
like on the nose.
Make me think she's in danger. Make me think something like you put everybody in armor. You had everybody ready to go, and you're just like, see you in 2 years. No, ma'am.
I know. Hugh and Adam are in dragon riding armor. Rhaena is like 10 steps away from Sheep Stealer, and we lost. In my opinion, yes, I'm salty.
Okay.
In my opinion, we lost the gullet, which needed at maximum, you needed at most 20 minutes for the gullet. And we got it because we lost it because Rhaenyra and Alicent have a conversation that canonically happens later. The conversation that they had happens later in the book. Like, they could have just waited and we could have gotten the gullet. Like, and I keep harping on the gullet because it's a set piece that Game of Thrones usually ends on. It moves the story forward and it has consequences for both sides. Like, it's a very important event that I think would be well paced to stop on. But we got staring at windows instead.
Yeah.
Which means they're going to open with the gullet, which makes it way less impactful.
See, everybody keeps saying that, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am 100% convinced that you all are not getting the gullet in your first episode. You're gonna get the gullet probably episode 2 or 3. And you know why? Because why would you start with the blood make words. Why would you start with the bloodbath and then have to deal with the aftermath when you still have so many untied things? Like, I personally think they're going to make y'all walk and talk for a little bit, for at least 2 episodes.
Somebody will try to stop it from
happening.
Dancing. From escalating. Someone will stop it.
Yeah, exactly. But I do want to say, and I know it's probably too late for that, but I did take notes of the things that I wanted to address that I enjoyed about the show, because it's really easy, I know, to, when you're mad, it's easy to focus on things that you hated, which we will get to. However, we want to go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you on that because I thought it was important to say we are not, I know Liza said this already, but like we are not actual haters. Like we love the canon. I am under the unpopular opinion that I actually liked Game of Thrones season 8. So like when it comes to like liking things that people don't like I'm good with it. I like season 8, but this season was not it. This season was not it. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Defend yourself at all costs. But I do want to say that there were good things and favorite characters. I loved the dragons. Which you would think, duh, that's a given, but it really isn't, because they did not give us a lot with the babies. And I was telling Liza off screen that I've gotten to the point where I'm so non-invested in these main characters that I've resorted to feeling more emotional connections with the dragons. I'm like, oh, you got to fight your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your sister, your brother, and you didn't even ask for it. I feel so
all in the same one person.
All the same one person. That's a good one.
I know in your family these things get confusing.
Boom, roasted. But I've gotten to the point where now I feel more connection to the dragons. Vermithor and Silverwing, just crisp, absolutely crisp. The red sewing is probably like one of my favorite moments of the season. The next person that I and it's funny because the very first time Liza had me on the show with you all, I was talking all my shit about Aemond. And I was like, you dusty wish.com Damon, I can't stand you. But this season, I was here for him. I was like,
here, even though I agree he's still a wish.com Damon, in the books, like in the show, I'm here for it.
Dude, he's a loose cannon. He's totally a crazy Targaryen. Like, which way is the coin going to flip when he wakes up in the morning? We have no idea.
But no, I've absolutely enjoyed his villainry, but I've enjoyed his strategicness. I've enjoyed his coming of age and his ability to really take over the screen. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the actor who plays him does not have any real professional training, or he hasn't really been in a lot of things. I could be wrong on that. Please quote me if I'm wrong, put it in the comments. But for this to be his breakout role, this is insanely good. He's doing
very well.
Very well.
And I like his character arc also because you can see the trauma, like the childhood trauma. He's going to snap any minute and you don't know which direction it's going to go, but it's a scary snap. It's not like Joffrey's just psycho.
Right.
He's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
He's so hateful.
Absolutely.
And I saw one thing on social media, if I may cut in for just a moment. I saw that Alice, someone mentioned on social media in like an edit that Alicent's children are representations of herself. Like Aegon is her trauma. Aemond is her rage, and Helena is her gentleness. And I thought that was like a really fantastic way to like encompass them and like explain what they represent in the story.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that though, because in a way, when you, I am not a parent, I am not a mother, but I can only imagine the ideology behind whenever you give birth to a child, that piece, like that's a piece of you. And for someone to break it down that way and for the show to do a good job, you did a good job explaining the difference in her personalities and the children. I think that was fantastic. Aegon getting what he deserved, baby boy. I'm sorry, but you asked for it. I'm sorry.
He started out a menace and not in a good way. So, I mean, in a way, I do think that I too will give some, I guess, flowers where they belong. I think Viserys, Aegon, and Hugh so far have been better in the show than the book. Yeah. And I think this Aegon is a more well-rounded picture than we got in the book. But also, like, let's not forget what he was doing in season 1. So you did kind of get what was coming to you. I'm just saying.
I'd like to ask Liza a question real quick on that. What did you think of when Aegon was like the realm's delight?
So that was a reference to what they called Rhaenyra when she was young. So I thought that was like very sassy and like sarcastic and
I thought that was a cool little like book nod there.
It is. And there's something he says to her much later on that has that same energy. You know that phrase, like, show me two things with the same energy? That's a thing. So it's definitely both a dig and foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool.
that.
Okay.
Damon and Rhaenyra at Harrenhal, but not for the reason that most people enjoy it. So I know for some people, let me talk to the lovers real quick. Come here, TV show lovers. Let me talk to you. I know you love that scene. I know you were really, really tired of watching Damon go through that struggle, right? You finally got to see Rhaenyra and Damon coming together, and he's looking at her, and she's looking at him. And he turns to those men and he grabs his sword and he screams and he cheers. And you're like, finally, Team Black is on top. And it was amazing. You got chills, maybe even a tear shed from your eye. I liked it because I was like, about damn time the shit was stupid. That was that separation between the two of them. I was like, you mean to tell me that the entire time this has been happening, my girl could have my girl could have jumped on a dragon and just flew over to her man and been like, yo, what's up? Mm-hmm. Really? It was absolutely anticlimactic for me, but I enjoyed it because I was like, it's finally over. We're done. We done wrapped this.
Damon's back, everybody. Damon's back.
We wrapped
it
the
way that they had structured that is to make sure that nobody knew what he was going to do. Like, does he want the crown? Does he want the throne? Like, nobody around him knows what he's going to do. He obviously knows what he's going to do.
Stop.
But we didn't care. Like, we already knew his intentions.
Everybody knows Damon loves Rhaenyra.
I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything. Everybody knows that Damon would have slayed any person, anything that came after or against Rhaenyra. No way. And you know how we know this? Because you all set him up to be this badass in season one. When he charged his butt through the stepstones alone. Obviously, they came in support him later, but still, he was ready. And also, at any point in time, he could have taken the throne. He could have taken it from Viserys. He could have taken it from Rhaenyra. The minute they got married, it could have been his. And also, does it really make sense? He's going to take his one army from Harrenhal against Rhaenyra and her dragons,
and against everyone's dragons.
He was never going to. Don't play with me like that. He's always loved her. He's always wanted her. And the only thing that should have been in question was how long it was going to take the Riverlands to get their stuff together.
See, and that's what happens in the books. Like, he's just amassing armies, and like OG Damon could have still had the vision, and I think it would have hit harder had OG Damon had the vision instead.
Facts.
To me, that is literally the definition of this meeting could have been an email. Like,
yes. Everybody's been there.
Why did we need all of that? I do appreciate, like, on paper, I can see how, Damon is having these visions, and now he has to finally see the vision to understand why Rhaenyra was the heir and not him, kind of thing. Like, I understand it probably looked good on paper. It did not translate over 8 fucking episodes. He could have, you're right. He could have seen it as OG Damon. He could have seen it and then had the visions. And then everybody was like, oh, what's he going to do? But then he could have just puddle jumped all over to freaking Dragonstone and been like, this is what's going on, girl. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And hop back.
See you in about a day.
Right. And also, I have a question for the writers of House of the Dragon. Was it not still possible for him to keep his loyalties and his love to Rhaenyra and still have these visions and maybe struggling to be a leader, questioning yourself? I'm Daemon Targaryen. I've done this. I've done that. I'm the son of I'm the brother of one of the most peaceful kings after King Jaehaerys. Sorry, Jaehaerys. My apologies.
Okay.
You didn't think it was maybe possible to still give him the challenges of, well, what would happen? What if everyone around him wanted him to be king because they are questioning Rhaenyra's ability? Because let's be honest, I love you, girl, but you were gone for a while you were grieving for your son and you didn't tell anybody. So it still would have been possible to have a strong male character having these questioning visions, but still holding his own. Because let's be honest, we all have to struggle with that. Like, how many times are we dealing with our own mental challenges, but we still got to go to work every day. We still got to show up for our kids. We still got to show up for our spouse and family and friends, etc. And I just think that it looked like they were dumbing him down, bringing down his character to elevate Aemond in a way, and also to make it seem like he needed it. And he really didn't.
No, Damon did not need this arc. Like, Fire and Blood is interpretable, and thank you so much for what you said. Like, that was really well put. in Fire and Blood, my interpretation was that Damon was always here for Rhaenyra. Like, and I agree. Like, he could have been amassing armies. Harrenhal is quiet, and for people who have been in extremely like intense, stressful situations, quiet is not always someone's best friend. So he could have still been having visions, but it didn't have to be like, you don't have to deprecate his character. I don't know if that's the right word, but you don't have to bring him down. Like, he could have been Damon as we know him and still gone through, you know, dealing with trauma, etc., and still supported Rhaenyra because they do have they do care about each other, and it's always been that way. Like, there was never a doubt in my mind in Fire and Blood that he was ever going to hurt her or do anything like that.
Even in the first season,
and the way I understood his like visions and whatnot, and you can correct me, is the curse of Harrenhal is also because it was built on an old godswood, and so there's weirwood trees growing through the castle now, so he's sleeping on a weirwood bed, and that's what's causing all of these visions on top of, you know, Alice Rivers doing whatever Alice is doing. So I don't know how much could have been, you know, removed. If you look at it logically, I guess, like, he could still have visions by sleeping in a weirwood bed, but it didn't have to be
about him trying to steal her throne. Yeah,
correct. It didn't have to turn. Like, I get the point. I understand the character arc. I just completely disagree with it.
Agreed.
That's
Again,
well said. I think that's a good place to leave that.
You're right. Two things can be true at the same time.
I get what they were trying to do with it, but it just
it took, again, y'all. It took y'all 7 episodes to make it happen. And I'm just saying, the tree been there for so long, like he could touch it any time.
Other people have probably slept in that weirwood bed. And they didn't get it
against it. Took a nap.
Right. Maybe show the visions in different times, and then like it all comes together in the end. Fine. But anyway, and the last thing that I feel like we haven't really talked about so far is Baya and Jace. I've really enjoyed watching this relationship bloom. It's been so in pure Targaryen fashion. It was very refreshing to see them not wanting to kiss each other. But it was very nice to just see like that familiar bond of, come on, dude. You're a bastard. He's a bastard. You're all bastards. But who cares? Like, let's fight and win this thing. Right. I love their relationship. She's holding that down.
He needed her to like step up and say that. Like, he would only have listened to her, I feel like.
Facts.
No, they're adorable, and their relationship is refreshing, and I think that they both bring something to the table. Like, I agree. I think Baya is she's like this. She's very strong-willed and determined, and I think that Jace kind of gets a little lost in everything that's going on because he does have so much responsibility.
Yeah.
But I agree. She had the perfect way of approaching him with those emotions.
So I have a question for the hosts, if I may.
Okay. Yes.
Who so far have been your favorite characters?
Okay, my favorite character so far. The dragons count.
Dragons count.
Okay, so far my favorite characters. I still I like Damon's character because I know him from the book. So like Damon, we'll just call it season 1 Damon, and hope they give him better stuff in season 3, right?
Okay.
I'm enjoying Aemon. Like, I like the loose cannon. That's nice. Hugh is so far better in the books than he is in. Sorry, Hugh is better in the show than he is in the book. Caraxes and Vermithor. Everybody else is just kind of not really done much. I really like Baya. I think Baya is fantastic. And I think that she's just so cool. Baya is amazing. And everybody else this season, I just missed season 1.
Yeah.
I missed season 1. Those are my people. How about you guys? Yeah.
I like Baya. I do like Rhaena. I didn't for a long time. I like her at the end of the season. Gosh, I guess Aemon. It shouldn't be this challenging to find favorite characters. I'm gonna say I like Cregan Stark because I can't wait to see him.
Cregan was good.
Spoiler.
My microphone is blue because I'm saying neutral in this episode because usually it's red. But I was like, you know what, the Starks. We saw the Starks marching across the Twins Bridge. Like, we'll go
Winter Wolves.
Yeah, man. And Jace. I like Jace this season. He's had a good character arc.
Okay.
I agree. And I wish we'd seen more of Cregan. Those are his Winter Wolves marching south across the Twins. But I agree with you. Like, I think Jace has done really, really well this season. And there is some decisions he makes in the book that were given to Rhaenyra in this season. So he does more in the book. Yeah, he does more in the book, but no, he did a really good job. And I think everybody's acting is just so good. Like, I have no problem with the acting from the main cast.
It's phenomenal.
They are doing fantastic.
You know what? Actually, on that point, I'm going to switch mine to Helena also. She
Helena's,
is so deep.
Yeah.
I agree. And like, every time she's on screen, you're just like lost in her performance. You're like, what is she going to say?
I'll ask you here in a second, Caitlin. I loved the episode, or the part of the episode where she's literally speaking to Damon. Like, she's out on her balcony speaking to Damon during his vision when Aemon comes out. And it was like, whoa, trippy. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there were things that they did so well. You're just like, yo, like that was dope. I agreed. Yeah. I think
who was your favorite?
My people. All right. Here are the people on my team.
All right.
Bela. Specifically for her character being so resolute. Absolutely love it. It was, in a way, it was like Rhaenys' character breathed a new life into her. So I love that. Hugh, my man against all odds. Definitely want to see more of him. I'm not necessarily sure exactly what's going to happen to his storyline and what will go down with like his personal life, but I am so excited to see what happens to him in the show. Adam, definitely loved Adam. Yeah. He's kind of like that wild card who is the severe underdog and is about to take over. And I'm really excited. I want to see more of him. And I wrote down Rhaenys because she's not dead.
She will live forever in our hearts. Rhaenys will live forever in our hearts.
Rhaenys, and it's Meleys, right?
Yeah, I think she says Meleys.
Like,
Meleys. Yeah. I think it goes up at the end, Meleys.
Yeah, no. They will forever have my heart. But unfortunately, I kind of agree with you guys. The main cast isn't really doing it for me right now. Right now, it's all of the people that are supporting them that's making me hang on by my little nail.
I know. And it's not the acting. I really think it's just the fact that no one is willing to commit. Like, I think that our original Game of Thrones characters, they committed to their choice of action and they had so much agency. And I really think that's what's missing. I think it's no one really has agency. Like, they're making choices, but they're doing it hesitantly. They're making hesitant choices.
The last thing that I wanted to say in terms of summing up my feelings overall about the show is I wrote it down. So I'm going to read it specifically how I wrote it.
Love it.
But what I said was the reason why I believe that House of the Dragon so far, specifically season 2, is flopping, in my opinion, is because we're spending too much time focusing on what destruction will happen in a war versus watching the destruction unfold.
And learning from that.
It becomes less interesting and impactful because we don't know what war does, but we know what war does in so many terms. And so I think that I'm really hoping that in season 3, everybody just owns up to what has to happen now and we hit that.
Mm-hmm. Well said. I agree. I think that I know that, the story of Game of Thrones, the entire thing is, anti-violence. Like, that's the whole point. And I think that some lessons are best learned visually, like by example, like you experience, like that's how Kristen figured it out. I'm just saying, like, he was on the ground with it and saw it happen.
Little crispy coal.
But I think that was very, very well said. I mean, this is our finale party. We got to kick it off. We got to get it all.
Right?
We got to get it all.
We got to get it all off our chest. I really want to talk about the miscommunication trope.
Go for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, we need to.
Michelle is too.
When you clear up the miscommunication trope in the middle of your show, you start undermining the agency of the characters. And I said, you are a stronger character when you believe you are right, even if it's a lie. That is a dynamic versus giving up halfway through and then regretting it when everybody else now has to finish the war you started. And yes, I'm talking to you, Alicent Hightower of the Greens. You're driving me insane this entire season. You got mad because you couldn't sit at the council with your boyfriend, and now you twisted and you upset and you don't understand, and that drives me crazy. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than specifically a female character running away from accountability. I can't stand
Agreed.
it. I believe that you deserved to sit there and you deserve to fight for what you believe then all the way up to the end. And I'm sorry, but why are people just able to hop from castle to castle to castle like it ain't nobody's business?
I don't know how Allison did it. Obviously, your dragon riders can make it in like an hour, but she just sailed right up to Dragonstone. It's not like nobody knows who she is. Plot hole.
With a cloak over her head, though.
Right? Question mark?
Yeah, but like that means that they just let anybody. They just let anybody in the castle. Like,
Eric had already done it.
Dragonstone. He was right. It was a sorry lack of security. Like he was right. Sorry lack of security.
I just believe that whenever you have that miscommunication trope and then you clear it up, the tension, the mystery, was it really right? The realization doesn't hit. Also, it's been bad so far, but it's supposed to get a lot worse. And if you're already running now, you're just gonna keep running forever. And I told my husband, I was like, babe, whenever I do something crazy, and I don't want accountability, I'm gonna be like, I'm pulling to Allison. I'm gonna go float. I want to float, honey.
I'm gonna just go walk in the woods. Like again, it's one of those things. Like I get it. But it wasn't executed well enough, in my opinion. Like, I get existential crisis, cool. Mm-hmm. But her entire character arc, again, 2 episodes, max, maybe. Like, Eamon took over, 4 episodes ago? And we're just now having her realize that, like, she needs to go meet with Rhaenyra and maybe try to put this war on hold because of the miscommunication. And, like, I get it that the end of the episode was supposed to be Rhaenyra, like, okay, everybody's getting ready for war. Is Rhaenyra going to say no? Is she going to go? Like, we don't know. Is there setting a trap? Blah, blah, blah. Who the cares? I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I just want to see somebody make a freaking decision to go to war.
Yeah. Season 2, maybe in retrospect, when the whole show is complete, maybe season 2 will be a better season.
Listen, I said that last night. I told my husband, I said, maybe they're playing the long game.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe if they nail season 3 and season 4, maybe they're playing the long game. But now, in a world of instant gratification and everybody's just wanting what they want right now, I don't know if that's the way to have gone strategically.
That's a point. I think, I don't know what the word, like the phrase is, but I do know that, like, as a society, our attention span is decreasing, which I don't mind challenge that, like make long stuff,
Sure.
But I think, because I'm with you, like season 8 was not good. It's a little better on a rewatch. Like it's a little better on a rewatch because there is some foreshadowing. So maybe on a rewatch, season 2 will be like, it's not as bad as it felt when you were in it,
Yeah.
I was hoping that was the case. Yeah, I was hoping that was the case this entire season. I almost said that a couple episodes of us, because I'm like, maybe when we rewatch it, I'll rewatch it with going, wow, I was really harsh on that, and it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
But we're not going to know until we rewatch it.
Until season 3, yeah.
Right.
Or season 4.
2 years. But no, make me eat my words. Make me eat my words, please. Like, make me sit back. Like, make me beg to come back and be like, Michelle,
I was wrong.
I was wrong.
We need to get on there and apologize.
I'll be like, Michelle, invite me back. I have to say my piece. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was wrong.
I do have a question about Aegon escaping, though. Is that canon?
It is, and I can break it down if you guys want to jump into our fire section.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's go for it. So you were asking if Aegon, like, evacuating King's Landing is canon, and it is. So he and Larys do actually exit King's Landing. That is canon. It is set up for more of what's to come, and it's another, like, foreshadowing is not the right word, but it's a piece in the larger scheme of things. I mentioned Sunfire is a piece in the larger scheme of things. We mentioned Grey Ghost. So, like, all assuming they follow what's left.
Sunfire is not dead? Question mark?
Sunfire is not dead. No, Sunfire is not dead, and we're in the fire section, so I'm safe. That's not that bad of a spoiler.
Right.
I mentioned Grey Ghost. It's all pieces to, like, a larger story, assuming they follow the source material. Kinda.
Do we know?
Even loosely.
Do we know if the dragon that Reyna is getting is actually Sheep Stealer? Because I was under the impression for one of the scenes that it was Grey Ghost because of how like away he was being.
I think it was distance that made it kind of look like that. It is Sheep Stealer. Sheep Stealer's brown. So, and he looks a little scruffy, and I like it. So,
yeah, he did.
He's a little scruffy. But so, yeah, that's Sheep Stealer.
Does that mean like definitely Reyna is taking over Nettles' plotline?
Don't bring it up, Michelle. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Yeah. Hey, since we're in the spoiler section, I did have like some peeks and tweaks here in the book here and there. Hey, for anybody who really has no idea why we're so upset that they deviate so severely from the source material, I want you to read Fire and Blood. And I want you to look at the relationship between Mysaria, Rhaenyra, Damon, and Nettles, and then you'll understand.
There's a reason that we care. And you don't even have to read the whole thing. I know it's a historical fiction, but not historical fiction like historical fiction. It's a historical tome about a fictional world. Right. So I know it's dense. I know, but you don't have to read the whole thing. It's literally like this much of it is the dance, which is crazy because so much happens. But there's a reason that all the stuff matters so much. And I wanted Nettles so bad. But in addition to me being upset about, I think to answer your question, yes, I think we've lost Nettles. I think Nettles is gone. To answer your question, I think she's gone. Poor I miss her already. And not even in a funny way. Like, I know I'm smiling, but I'm smiling through the pain. But also, like, I'm sad. I am genuinely sad because Reyna's dragon mourning is very symbolic. Like, she's this beautiful pink dragon that finally hatches for Reyna at the end of the dance. She is one of the last dragon riders because it's the dance of dragons. Like, not everybody walking out of here, obviously. Right. But she's one of the last living dragon riders of one of the last like original dragons of House Targaryen. Because when Dany's alive, they're small, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a symbol for a new hope and a new start and new birth. Like, her dragon was important. Wow. And to just write Nettles out, like, you can make it work with Damon. They can go the paternal, platonic father-daughter route. You can make that work, but you lose so much symbolism of Reyna waiting and then having this like symbol of new hope for House Targaryen. It's so important, and it's gone if they give it to if they give her Sheep Stealer, because I haven't heard of another dragon hatching to a rider who may have outlived their dragon. Assuming Reyna did outlive Sheep Stealer, I don't see another dragon hatching for her. Like, I don't see mourning happening. Yeah. And I'm going to miss this beautiful little dragon who means so much for their house. Like,
some comfort to maybe give you is it's a good and bad thing, right? So they've deviated from the source material, right? Which means that at any point in time, you may still get Nettles. Correct. What they'll do with her, we don't know. But it's not for us to know. It's for us to enjoy and analyze and see if we do like it or not. But don't give up hope yet. She may come back. She may.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know if Nettles will come back. I think maybe Mourning would come back. I think maybe Mourning can still have a symbolic showing or words.
Maybe so. I don't know. I'm just gonna cry a little inside every time no offense to Reyna, she deserves a dragon.
Well, dab your away.
Thank you. Reyna deserves a dragon. She has hiked. She has blood, sweat, and tears so she deserves a dragon. I'm just sad that it won't be her dragon.
Do you think it's possible that they're maybe giving mourning to one of Rhaenyra's other children?
That's a spoiler for season 3.
Got it. Never mind.
Michelle working for them spoilers. She's like, tell me everything.
So, I need to just read the damn book.
I'll give you page numbers. I have Kaylin. I gave Kaylin page numbers. I sticky noted outside from here to here. You get the whole thing.
I need it. That's exactly.
Get the hardback. I'll give you the page numbers. You'll be all set.
Yep.
But yeah. That's that. I don't got nothing. I don't got nothing else.
I think we could probably jump into our Dragon Dream section if you wanted to.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Ahem. my canon correction section. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. You guys are both gonna read Fire and Blood now, so y'all can either be like, Liza, you have this thing all wrong, like you are wrong, or you can be like, actually, I agree with you. I think this interpretation was solid, but my interpretation was always that Damon was down. He was down for Rhaenyra. He was down for her to be queen. He was gonna make it happen, and he does. So I'm just like, what is happening? But I'll come back to that. But Alicent and Rhaenyra's conversation that happened at the end of this episode did not have to happen now. They have a very, very similar, slightly different, but very similar in tone and point conversation after Team Black takes King's Landing. Like, Team Black in season 3, assuming they follow the source material, will take King's Landing, and that's when her and Alicent have like a last ditch. Listen, come on, I made a mistake. Something, and this
Can I
conversation
just pause you
happens.
right there? I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Why couldn't we just get that as the final shot of season 2? Like, why couldn't she just, like, the final shot of season 2 be Rhaenyra at the Red Keep? Like, that would have been an amazing cliffhanger.
Because we would have needed the gullet.
I know.
Yeah, so for my canon corrections, like, we did not need this conversation with Rhaenyra and Alicent. We could have traded it for the gullet and moved the plot. If it doesn't move the plot, it's got to go. And that's like storytelling 101. And no one is listening to that this season. I'm just saying. But so we are talking about mourning, and really, like, Damon fought Rhaenyra's war for her in the book, and I think he should get the credit. I know the show is roasting him for whatever reason. Oscar Tully was just going in for no reason last episode. So I know the show is roasting him, but for anybody out there who's maybe concerned or confused about why I feel so strongly about this, like they said, Fire and Blood explains the whole thing. And my interpretation may possibly be askew, but I've read it twice now, and I double-checked myself. Damon fought her war for her, and I do feel like he needs the character credit he deserves. Maybe they're playing the long game. We shall see. But for now, I stand by OG Damon.
Yeah. Strong male characters need strong female characters, and nobody has to shit on the other character in order for them to remain strong. It is okay for men to also be strong with women. It is a thing. It is perfectly okay. You don't have to make somebody weaker to make the other person stronger. Just saying.
I 100% agree. Kristen Cole, Michelle. Kristen Cole. Y'all, even Kristen's better in the book. I'm just saying, like, he's horrible, but I remembered a couple things about him, and I'm okay. This is a complete side note, and I don't want to take away from what Kaylin just said. Kaylin, that was fantastic, and I 100% agree with you.
Thank you.
I'm so sad about Gwaine because he's becoming a favorite of mine because he roasts Kristen every time he sees him. And I was so sad when he sat down beside Kristen. I was like, traitor.
Watching Kristen Cole on screen all season 2 was like walking in wet socks.
In public, in tennis
with
shoes,
wet
on
jeans.
tile. So bad.
It's this dry air, dry heat, and you got wet socks, and you're just very uncomfortable. That's what Kristen Cole is like.
Well, a wonderful, wonderful metaphor. And speaking of water, I'm going to make a terrible segue into our next episode predictions. We have to get the gullet. I sound ridiculous. I want both of you to know that in my articles I have written, I've been predicting the gullet since like the first teaser of season 1. I sound ridiculous. I have been waiting on the gullet for 4 years now, I'm pretty sure. At some point, it has to happen, people. The gullet has to happen. This next thing, we don't want it to happen because it's going to be sad. It has to happen. And I guess Rhaena's going to get Sheep Stealer in the next season. The gullet will happen. Rhaena will get Sheep Stealer. She has to get Sheep Stealer because Sheep Stealer is supposed to be included in the gullet. So whatever order they do that in. Team Black takes King's Landing. We need to meet people we haven't met this season that we should have. We need to meet Darren. We need to meet Bloody Ben. We need to meet Alysanne Blackwood and several others who we should have been already spending time with. And hopefully more Cregan. We should get more Cregan. So next episode should be like packed. I do think they could have paced it better.
Yeah.
But I am like, I was so ready to see some more dragon riding. Like, I was ready for it. I miss it. We were so close. And it's not just for the spectacle. It's because it moves the plot.
Yeah.
It moves the characters. It motivates the characters. Things happen. Everybody takes steps forward or backward. So since we have to wait 2 years, I don't think it's fair for me to spoil the gullet. So I think we'll just sit on it. And yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. With our next episode predictions closed, I do have an announcement to make. So this is my last time hosting Decoding Dragons. I am soaring onward, dragon pun intended, to pursue my publishing business. And I wish you all the best. All of our watchers, I wish you all the best with season 3 onward. I wish you good dragony goodness and show happiness. Michelle is going to be taking over for me hosting. And thank you for continuing. And I look forward to all of the content you will make. I'm so excited.
And you will be back.
I look forward to guesting. Hit me up. I will guest. I will bring all my salt and tea.
Yes.
I'll bring all my salt and tea and my copy of Fire and Blood.
Yeah, both of you have done such a great and amazing job hosting Decoding Dragons. Even as someone who is a casual watcher of Game of Thrones TV shows, I've always enjoyed watching Decoding Dragons. And Liza, we are so proud of you that you're going to be going off and doing amazing things with your amazing book and universe to come in the future. So good for you. And Michelle, girl, rock it out.
Yeah. I'm so sad. We started watching now with CouchSoup. We started the podcast in general. We have our Decoding Dragons. So I'm sad, but also that's why we're here. That's why CouchSoup exists. Fly, get your air under your wings and go do your thing. You're going to be missed a lot. But yeah, I will hold it down as much as I can.
Kaylin, thank you so much for your kind words. And Michelle, thank you so much. You have been a fantastic production partner. And I'm so happy that we got to start this podcast together.
Yes.
And at least our season 2 had a complete arc.
Yes, it did. And thank you. And thank you, Kayla, for your kind words. I'm glad we do have some watchers. And I like watching our numbers tick up on YouTube, And I like to see what the audience is into. Like, I really like to see the ones that people are more interested in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I will be going out on a positive note. There are some really, really fantastic moments in season 2. Like the one that will always stick with me forever. I hope to hold it close to my heart forever. And for the record, I don't even like this character in the book, but in the show, up until this point in time specifically, the moment with Hugh and Vermithor was amazing. It was amazing. So good. They have some references they have thrown throughout. Like I mentioned, Damon hearing the scream in Harrenhal. We got to see Dany's body double, I'm assuming. I don't think, unless it was a reused
that. I did want to say that the nods that they did to make everything kind of come full circle or whatever.
Oh, 100%.
Well, they were very good. I really appreciated the Damon realization and all of that with the Dany back and that was cool.
And I appreciate that so much because she is a direct descendant from Damon and Rhaenyra. And that's why it was so important to me, that phrase in Fire and Blood, where it's like Baela was her father's daughter. That's why Damon is so important, because his personality gives so much to the book, to the story, to Baela, to their descendants. But it was just they have so many fantastic moments in this season. So I'm not going out on my last episode as a hater. I will forever cherish Hugh and Vermithor. And I got to see Silverwing. I got to see her in real life on a real screen. I got to see Caraxes. Caraxes is amazing. And as sad as Rhaenys was, Meleys is fire. Meleys is fire. So, there have been some really, really fantastic moments. I was really, really happy to be able to be on the show and chat about them all with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, and you're going to be missed. And I do want to say real quick, though, that they did confirm that Daenerys is technically the Azor Ahai. Technically.
See, I have heard that there are currently 3 open options. I have not finished the main 5. And the show, I think that there's been a discussion that there is show canon and there is book canon.
At this point, yes.
Yeah, and they interweave and then they're separate. Yeah. So from my understanding, as someone who has not finished the 5th of the main 5 right now, I think there's 3 open options. I think it's Dany, Jon, and another one. There's another, I think he's another Aegon, but I don't know much about him. He has a different name. I'm not sure who he is as a character. Excuse me. But there's currently 3 open options. So I'm assuming that for the show, they're confirming it's Daenerys. I thought for sure those were Jon's feet walking through the mud when he was approaching the Night King. I was like, where's Jon? But it was good to see Dany again for sure.
And then I think probably my favorite moment of this episode of the season actually is that Otto Hightower conversation with Aegon before Kristen becomes a Hand of the King.
Thank you.
It has stuck out for me this entire season. He was just, oh gosh, so good in that conversation. That was so good. It's just peak acting right there.
The way that Viserys walking to the throne carried season 1, like that scene to me, Viserys walking to the throne is season 1. Like that and Damon at the Stepstones in reverse order. It's Damon and then Viserys walking to the throne. No dragons necessary, no spectacle necessary, just pure acting, scene, and gravitas. Otto's speech was that for this season, like just acting, gravitas, just immersed in the moment. That monologue was and Otto is something, but that scene was like, yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Otto, I totally forgot to mention we see Darren and Tessarion, and that was really cool. We see pretty blue dragon flying across. I wanted to meet him, but that's okay. He's flying onward.
And I'm assuming you know why Otto is in like a cell?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. I don't know why he's in a cell. I know why he's in a cell later. Like I know why he's in a cell after stuff happens. I don't really know why he's in a cell right now. And there's something that I've forgotten. Book readers, if you know, and I have just forgotten, please let me know in the comments. I know why he gets in a cell later, but I don't know why he's in a cell now. I was confused.
Caitlin, what was your favorite moment of the season?
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to piggyback off Liza and say the Hugh and Vermithor moment. I believe that overall in season 2, that's pretty much how the audience was feeling. It was like, come on, like give me what I want. Take us there. But the parallel and the patience of Vermithor being like, easy there, big fella.
Easy, yeah. Hold on, big fella.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that a lot. And also Helena speaking to Aemond and basically foreshadowing what's to come for his character with the battle above the God's Eye. I loved that moment. I think that there was some very beautifully delicate placement in this season. And I tweeted it earlier, but I was like, look, season 2 didn't slap, because good moments don't make a great shoo, but there were still some really good moments. So I would say those 2 would probably be like my favorite so far. And obviously, my girl Brady. I know. She deserves so much more. That's more than what you asked for, Michelle, but I hope that you can you get what I'm saying.
No, there were definitely some good moments for sure.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we are going to wrap up the final finale party of season 2 of Decoding Dragons. We will be back every season on CouchSoup.com to recap the latest episode of House of the Dragon. We'll be back when season 3 starts.
Yep, hopefully in a couple of years, maybe less.
Caitlin, thank you so much for returning for this episode. We are always so happy to have you back. Can you remind everybody where they can follow you and find more of your fantastic content?
Absolutely. So you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and X with _Abstract Voyager. I also have a website called theabstractvoyager.com where you can get the latest nerd merch and also read on a couple of articles and blogs that I'm doing of reviews of all of our favorite pop culture TV shows. And to Michelle and Liza, thank you both so much for letting me come here. I absolutely have a blast talking to you all about the show, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2 years. Hopefully season 3 will knock it out the park.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to hit that like button on this video, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments what you thought of the entire season. Did you like it? Did you hate it? We'll find out, and then see you next season with all the fires and soup on CouchSoup.com.
All right.